Chosen one. Before we go any further, I need you to slow down. Take a breath. Because this message did not find you by accident. You weren't scrolling. You weren't just curious. You were guided here. There is a reason your spirit felt heavy before you clicked. There is a reason your heart felt seen before a single word was spoken. And there is a reason you've always felt like you don't fully belong to this world, even when surrounded by people. God chose you to release a power the world has never seen before. Not a recycled power. Not an inherited title. Not a borrowed anointing. This is something new. Something hidden. Something reserved. And the fact that you're here means the seal is loosening. Stay with me, because by the end of this message, you will understand why your life never made sense. Why the resistance was constant. And why heaven never let you settle. Chosen one, let me tell you something that most people will never understand. You were never meant to fit. From a young age, you noticed it. You could play the role, but it drained you. You could follow the rules, but something inside resisted. You could succeed by the world's standards, but it never felt fulfilling. That's because systems are designed to contain power, not release it. And the power God placed inside you could never be managed, categorized, or controlled. You weren't rebellious, you were misplaced. You weren't difficult, you were untranslatable. You weren't lazy, you were misaligned with environments that couldn't host your frequency. This is why teachers misunderstood you. Authority figures projected onto you. Family tried to shrink you for your own good. And peers either admired you silently or resented you openly. Your spirit was never designed to run on autopilot. You were created to activate something dormant in the world. Chosen one, if God had revealed your power too early, it would have been destroyed. That's why. Your gifts came in fragments. Your confidence developed slowly. Your calling unfolded through pain. Heaven doesn't expose what hell is still hunting. So God hid your power. Inside your sensitivity. Inside your isolation. Inside your discernment. Inside your ability to feel what others ignore. You thought your emotional depth was a weakness. You thought your solitude was punishment. You thought your overthinking was a flaw. But in truth, God was building capacity. Because the power you carry doesn't explode outward. It restructures reality quietly. And that kind of power requires stability, not speed. Be honest with yourself, chosen one. You've watched people pass you. People who were less aware, less prepared, less aligned. You wondered why things took longer for you. Here's the truth most people can't handle. God delays containers, not intentions. Your life felt slow because your character needed reinforcement. Your nervous system needed strengthening. Your spirit needed anchoring. The power you are meant to release cannot come through an unstable vessel. So while others rushed into platforms, relationships, and visibility, you were being reinforced in silence. This delay wasn't denial. It was precision. Chosen one. One of the most confusing parts of your journey has been this. You tried to understand yourself, but there was no clear comparison. You searched for examples. You looked for mentors. You listened to teachers, leaders, spiritual figures, even role models. And every time, something inside you whispered, "This helps, but it's not it." That's because the power you carry does not have a reference point. God did not copy and paste a calling onto you. He did not recycle an old blueprint. He did not assign you a role that already existed. He created something new and placed it inside you. That is why no label ever fit you completely. That is why no title fully explained you. That is why people struggled to place you. You don't fit into categories because you are the category. Chosen one, you may have noticed something unusual about your life. You could learn from people, but you couldn't stay under them forever. At some point, their words stopped feeding you. Their methods stopped resonating. Their limitations became visible. Not because you were arrogant, but because their ceiling was never meant to be your roof. You were designed to be guided by God directly. That's why your growth came through personal revelation, deep inner knowing, experiences rather than instructions, silence rather than crowds. Your power required internal authority, not external validation. And that made people uncomfortable. Because people are comfortable teaching what they understand. But they get uneasy around what exceeds their framework. Chosen one, if someone looked at your life from the outside, they might miss it completely. Because your power does not announce itself. It does not compete. It does not posture. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. You don't need to dominate conversations. You don't need to prove intelligence or spirituality. Yet somehow, people open up to you without meaning to. Truth surfaces around you. Energy shifts when you enter spaces. That's because your power is atmospheric. It works beneath the surface. It reorganizes rather than overwhelms. It stabilizes rather than shocks. This is why God had to strip you of ego early. Because ego-driven power seeks recognition. But precedentless power only seeks alignment. Chosen one, have you noticed how people often misunderstand you in extreme ways? Some see you as intimidating. Others see you as weak. Some idolize you silently. Others resist you instinctively. Rarely are people neutral about you. That's because your power acts like a mirror. It reflects what people have avoided within themselves. Your presence doesn't accuse. It reveals. And when people are confronted with truth they haven't made peace with, they respond with projection, judgment, comparison, withdrawal. You didn't cause this. Your power simply activated awareness they weren't ready for. Chosen one, if this power had developed in public, it would have been distorted. So God kept you hidden. Not because you were unworthy, but because you were unrepeatable. Isolation allowed your voice to form without contamination, your discernment to sharpen, your motives to be purified, your identity to root deeply. If too many voices had access to you early, they would have tried to name you, shape you, control you, limit you. And this power cannot be managed by human expectations. So God removed the crowd. So heaven could speak clearly. Chosen one, you were never fully in the old world. But you couldn't yet see the new one. You felt suspended, unsettled, restless. That's because you were carrying something that had not arrived yet. Your spirit was ahead of your circumstances. Your calling was ahead of your environment. Your power was ahead of its moment. This, in between, season wasn't confusion. It was containment. God was ensuring that when the power is released, it would emerge whole, not fractured. Chosen one, hear this clearly. When God releases a power with no precedent, He takes His time. Because there is no manual, no safety net, no comparison. So He builds the vessel carefully. That's why. You were tested more deeply. You were corrected more precisely. You were stripped more thoroughly. Not to punish you, but to protect what He placed inside you. This power does not belong to trends. It does not bend to culture. It does not chase approval. It moves when God says move. It rests when God says wait. And when it is fully released, it will feel inevitable. If you felt something stir while listening to this chapter, that's not emotion. That's recognition. Your spirit knows this truth. Even if your mind is still catching up, you are not trying to become something. You are remembering who you already are. And what God placed inside you has never been done before. Chosen one, some of the opposition you faced had nothing to do with your actions. It was recognition. Spirits recognize before people do. That's why. Some people disliked you instantly. Some tried to compete with you silently. Some sabotaged you without explanation. You didn't provoke them. Your existence activated their unresolved shadows. Light doesn't argue with darkness. It exposes it. And the power you carry does not fight. It reveals. Let's talk about the loneliness. The nights where no one checked on you. The seasons where friendships fell away. The silence where support disappeared. Chosen one. That was not rejection. That was protection. Because the power God is releasing through you requires clean motives, clear perception, undistracted devotion. Isolation wasn't emptiness. It was calibration. God was removing voices that would question your calling, drain your energy, dilute your obedience. So when the power activates fully, there would be no interference. Chosen one. This chapter is not information, it is confirmation. Because when divine power begins to activate, it does not announce itself with noise. It reveals itself through subtle but irreversible shifts inside you. You may not be able to explain what's happening, but you can feel it. Something is different now. Not dramatic, not chaotic, but settled. Let's talk about the signs. Chosen one of the clearest signs activation has begun is this. You no longer have the energy to entertain what drains you. Not because you're angry, not because you've hardened, but because your spirit has outgrown compromise. Conversations that once felt normal now feel heavy. Environments you used to tolerate now feel noisy. People who once had access now feel intrusive. And instead of forcing yourself to adjust, you withdraw naturally. This isn't avoidance. This is self-preservation aligned with purpose. Your power requires clarity, and clarity demands distance. Chosen one, notice this carefully. Situations that would have overwhelmed you before don't hit the same anymore. The anxiety is quieter. The panic doesn't take over. The reaction pauses. You don't explode. You don't collapse. You observe. That calm is not emotional numbness. It is spiritual authority settling into your nervous system. Your power is anchoring. Instead of reacting, you're responding. Instead of absorbing chaos, you're grounded within it. This is one of the strongest signs activation is real. Chosen one, you don't need explanations anymore. You know. You sense intentions before words are spoken. You feel energy shifts in rooms. You notice when something is off, even if everything looks fine on the surface. And what's interesting is this. You're not paranoid. You're not suspicious. You're not hypervigilant. You're clear. Your spirit is processing information faster than logic can catch up. That's not imagination. That's alignment. Chosen one, this one is subtle but powerful. You've stopped over-explaining. You don't rush to justify your choices. You don't defend your boundaries. You don't try to convince people of your truth. You let misunderstandings sit. Because something inside you finally understands this. Those meant to understand you will. Those who don't, were never required to. This silence is not weakness. It is inner authority. Chosen one, notice what you no longer crave. The validation. The rush. The attention. The proving. Things that once motivated you now feel empty. Not because they were bad, but because they were temporary fuel. Your spirit is being rewired to run on alignment instead of appetite. You're not losing desire. You're upgrading it. Chosen one, this one can be confusing. You still don't know exactly what's next. You don't have all the details. The path isn't fully visible. Yet, you're not panicking. There's a quiet trust inside you now. Not forced faith. Not denial. Not blind optimism. But a grounded sense that says, whatever is unfolding, I can handle it. That peace is not coming from circumstances. It's coming from inner alignment with divine timing. Chosen one, when power activates, control releases. You still care. You still act. You still show up. But you're no longer gripping outcomes tightly. You do what feels right. Then you let go. This detachment is not apathy. It is confidence without attachment. You trust the process because you trust who you're becoming. Chosen one, notice your preferences shifting. Loudness feels unnecessary. Chaos feels unattractive. Overstimulation feels exhausting. You crave quiet, simplicity, depth. Meaning, this isn't isolation. It's integration. Your power strengthens in stillness. Because stillness is where alignment deepens. This is the sign most people miss. As your power activates, reality mirrors you. When you're centered, doors open. When you're rushed, resistance appears. When you're aligned, things flow. Life begins responding less to effort and more to internal coherence. This is not coincidence. This is spiritual influence without force. Chosen one, if you recognize yourself in this chapter, this is not a future promise. This is present activation. You are not waiting for power to arrive. It is already moving within you, stabilizing, integrating, and preparing for release. Nothing is wrong with you. Nothing is missing. Nothing is delayed. The power is activating now. And you can feel it. Because your spirit already knows. Chosen one, God did not choose you to dominate people. He chose you to liberate minds, stabilize environments, carry truth without force, heal without display. You will change lives without preaching, shift rooms without speaking, lead without positioning. This is not loud power. This is inevitable power. Chosen one. This is the part many people rush toward. But God does not. Because what happens next is not about sudden noise. It is about quiet alignment becoming visible. Nothing dramatic needs to be forced. Nothing needs to be announced. Nothing needs to be proven. What happens next unfolds organically, yet precisely. Chosen one of the first things you will notice is this. You stop chasing, and life starts approaching you. Opportunities don't arrive with chaos. They come through conversations, invitations, and moments that feel strangely timed. You didn't plan them. You didn't hunt them down. They simply appear at the intersection of your readiness. This is not luck. This is alignment responding to activation. Chosen one, clarity does not arrive as a full blueprint. It comes as knowing your next step. You may not see the entire road, but you feel grounded in where to place your feet. Confusion lifts. Overthinking quiets. Decision-making simplifies. You begin choosing based on inner resonance, not pressure. This is how divine guidance operates. Not loud, but undeniable. Chosen one, this part often surprises people. You don't suddenly become surrounded by crowds. Instead, specific people appear. People who don't drain you, don't compete with you, don't try to shape you, don't require explanation. They recognize you without interrogation. These connections feel easy, grounded, mutual. Because when power activates, it attracts compatibility, not popularity. Chosen one, obstacles don't disappear, but they lose authority over your nervous system. You encounter challenges, but they don't shake your identity. You face uncertainty, but it doesn't trigger panic. You meet opposition, but it doesn't derail your center. Why? Because you are no longer seeking confirmation from outcomes. You are anchored internally. And internal stability changes how resistance behaves around you. Chosen one, this is subtle. For a long time, you were learning, processing, healing, unlearning. Now, without announcement, that season begins to close. You start using what you've gained, not in grand gestures, but in quiet action. You speak when it matters. You act when it aligns. You withhold when it doesn't. Your power becomes functional, not theoretical. Chosen one of the most freeing shifts happens here. Time stops feeling like an enemy. You no longer feel late. You no longer compare timelines. You no longer panic about speed. You understand something deeply now. Divine timing does not rush what is protected. So you move with intention, not urgency. This alone stabilizes your energy in powerful ways. Chosen one, as the power integrates, you'll notice something profound. You don't need to convince. You don't need to push. You don't need to persuade. Your presence carries weight. People reflect after being around you. Conversations go deeper. Truth surfaces naturally, not because you're trying, but because alignment radiates. This is influence without force. Chosen one, visibility shifts. You no longer hide. But you also don't perform. You allow yourself to be seen without overexposure. You choose when to share. You choose when to retreat. You choose when to speak. This balance protects your power, because not everything sacred needs to be accessible. Chosen one, by this stage, your inner compass is strong. You don't crowdsource decisions. You don't seek constant validation. You don't overvalue opinions. You listen. You feel. You act. And when something doesn't align, you don't argue with it. You simply step back. This discernment becomes your greatest safeguard. Chosen one, what happens next is not a leap. It's a landing. You land inside yourself. The searching ends. The proving fades. The tension releases. You are not trying to become powerful. You are learning how to live with the power that has already arrived. Nothing you're experiencing is random. Nothing is out of order. Nothing is behind. You are not waiting for permission. You are integrating alignment. And from this place, everything that comes next will feel natural, grounded, and undeniably guided. Stay steady, chosen one. You are exactly where the next chapter begins. Chosen one. Before you read a single word, pause. Let your shoulders relax. Unclench your jaw. Place one hand over your heart. And if it feels right, place the other on your chest or stomach. Breathe in slowly through your nose. Hold it for a moment. Now exhale gently through your mouth. Do that again. This is not a moment to rush. This is a moment to receive. Now, read these words slowly. Let each sentence land before you move to the next. I release the belief that I was forgotten. I let go of the fear that I missed my moment. I surrender the pressure to become something I was never meant to be. I honor the timing that shaped me. I trust the seasons that refined me. I accept the stillness that prepared me. I recognize the power that has always lived within me, not as something to prove, but as something to steward. I no longer shrink to keep others comfortable. I no longer dim to avoid being misunderstood. I allow myself to stand rooted, present, and whole. I choose clarity over chaos, alignment over urgency, truth over performance. I release the need for external validation. I trust the signals within my spirit. I move when peace confirms my steps. I welcome the responsibilities that come with this power. I receive wisdom alongside strength. I commit to integrity over ego. I give myself permission to be seen, without overexposing what is sacred. I give myself permission to rest, without guilt or apology. I accept that my presence carries influence. I accept that my stillness carries weight. I accept that what moves through me serves a greater purpose. I am not late. I am not behind. I am not out of alignment. I am prepared. I am protected. I am guided. I step forward without fear. I move without resistance. I remain grounded as the path unfolds. What God placed within me will unfold naturally. Without force, without strain, without compromise. I trust what is being released through me. I trust myself to carry it well. I trust God's timing completely. And now, I rest in alignment. Take one final breath. Let it go slowly. You do not need to feel anything dramatic. You do not need a sign. You do not need confirmation. The activation does not end here. It settles here. Carry this stillness with you. The power is not rushing. It is rooted. And so are you. Chosen one, before you go, I want to speak to the givers, the ones whose hearts feel called to pour back into the vessel that pours into them. If this message awakened you, if it strengthened you, if it spoke to your spirit in a way only heaven could orchestrate, then I invite you, only if your heart feels led, to sow a $1 seed into this channel. Not because God needs it, but because giving is a spiritual law. A small seed carries big obedience. And God multiplies what is given with pure intention. Your $1 keeps this ministry alive, keeps the messages flowing, and helps this word reach the next chosen one who needs it. If you feel that nudge in your spirit, if you feel that gentle pull, you can plant your $1 seed using the link in the description. And if you can't or don't feel led, you are still loved, still seen, and still covered. Blessings to every giver, and blessings to every listener. Your seed moves heaven in ways you may never see. But God sees it all.